Welcome everybody to When La Fete Met, and today we are in the beautiful Western Park with gorgeous Sam, aka Goldyrocks.
Hey.
And we are here whilst the Ibiza Classics set is setting up, and we're going to be talking with Sam a bit about her career and her profession. Hi Sam.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Lovely to see you. Thank you so much for coming and for being with us before your sound check.
Pleasure.
Just to get started, how did you get started in the industry?
So, very long answer. I grew up in deepest, darkest Surrey, where there really wasn't anything to do other than sort of ride horses, push over cows in the middle of the night, or go to like gigs. So I used to go to loads of punk rock gigs, and that really was my escapism. I really got into music journalism and going to local gigs, interviewing the bands, writing about it. And that started really when I was about 16. And it all, a sort of short answer to your question, snowballed from there. I started selling like t-shirts on tour with bands and trekking up to London and reviewing these gigs, and bit by bit had my articles published in like local newspapers, slogged away doing work experience for everyone under the sun, every radio station, every record label, every music magazine. Moved up to London, went to art school, and Goldyrocks was created, and yeah, it all grew and divulged and grew into the beast that it is now.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's so cool. What or who along this journey has been your biggest inspiration and why?
Growing up, there wasn't really anyone like me doing the job that I do, and that's quite hard, especially as a young woman, to really sort of find a key inspiration. I mean, I actually loved John Peel and I loved Zane Lowe, and these were these amazing guys, amazing broadcasters, really breaking new music, and then fantastic to go and DJ at festivals. But there wasn't really any girls doing that, or if they did, it wasn't very accessible, it wasn't very fun, it was very like specialist and sort of dark and heavy. So really, I was just left to my own devices to do my own thing. Later on in my career, people like Annie Mac have been incredible for really breaking the glass ceiling for women and female DJs. And also, from a broadcasting point, people like Emma Barnett, who I think is an incredible radio broadcaster and journalist.
Yeah. If you hadn't fallen into this world and snowballed into this, what would you be doing? Would you be a horse rider?
No. Let's think. I mean, I trained in theatre. So the reality is I'd probably still be doing something in performance, in arts, in creativity. I just think that's who I am. But sometimes on heavy days where I'm really tired from touring, I think, God, wouldn't it be just lovely to have like an alpaca farm or something like that by the seaside, just me and my alpacas hanging out on the sands. Lovely. So yeah, a mix between the two probably.
So that farm girl still is deep down inside.
Oh, it's
somewhere.
what makes me happy. Yeah. I mean, I think this is one of the amazing things about the Classic Ibiza tour, is that you get to go to these beautiful stately homes, and it's just like get to have some fresh air and enjoy the countryside. So yeah.
Nice escape. You've obviously told us who were your biggest inspiration, but is there a city or a country that inspires you in particular?
I've been very, very fortunate with my job that I've got to travel a lot, and not just the Berlins and Ibizas and LAs, but the more avant-garde places like Libya and Syria and Azerbaijan and Kazakhstan, and all these really sort of off the main road kind of places. Yeah. Two places I think really hold a special place in my heart. One is Sicily, just because I got married there in September, and it's a really beautiful, romantic place. If anyone's thinking about getting married abroad, I'd really recommend Sicily. Incredible food, incredible culture. And Malawi in Southern Africa. I'm a patron for a festival there called Lake of Stars. It's just this beautiful melting pot of cultures and influences, all set around Lake Malawi. An incredible festival, like a real once-in-a-lifetime experience. So yeah, I'd say Malawi.
Oh, that sounds fabulous. Bucket list, here we come. What's your favourite part of the job?
Connecting with the audience. I love that so much, and no matter what else is going on in my life or in the world, that moment in the party where everyone is together, everyone is connecting, just completely elated in that magical moment. It's just, I live for that moment. It's incredible.
It must be such a high when you have thousands of people bouncing up and looking to you and pointing to you. Yeah. And it must just be so
Yeah, it is really empowering. It's a really cathartic experience, but it's something that I don't take for granted at all. I mean, it's just that really honest, earnest moment, isn't it? Sort of performer, audience, all together, all united. And what I think is so special specifically about DJing is that it's not like theatre. It doesn't matter if people aren't from the same culture or background, or people don't necessarily speak English, but in that moment of music is that universal language, that universal power.
It's amazing. What would you have told yourself 10 years ago?
Not to worry so much, but I think a lot of young women are guilty of that, because we care and we overthink things and we care about them and we internalize them. And I think, to not worry so much. Do you know what? I met Cher once, as you do, and I said to her, what life advice would have you given your younger self? And she said a piece of advice that her mother gave her. And if it's not going to matter in 5 years, then it doesn't matter. And I think that's a really wonderful piece of life advice. Let the little things go, let the little things wash over you, and only really care about the big stuff.
I think that's a good advice all rounder.
Thanks,
Cher.
Cher.
We go. Cher, indirect tip from Cher via Sam. We have it. Tell me something unexpected about your profession that people maybe don't know.
So I think people think that DJing is very glamorous and you get to go to loads of fabulous parties and wear great outfits and meet amazing people, but it is like any other job, especially sort of a very competitive, in-demand job, that it is exhausting and it can be very, very lonely, and you spend a lot of time travelling on your own, and those travelly in transit bits can be really, really, really tough. You know, hours on buses and trains and planes and just hanging around on your own, and late nights, and ultimately, especially during summer season, it's festival season, you're always on the go. You know, I'm working like seven days a week, really. So I'm away from my family a lot, and no matter what happens in your personal life, you've just got to keep going. So that can be a challenge. But if you love your job and you see that instant connection that your people are really getting something from the service you're providing, then I think it makes it all worthwhile.
It must be quite tough though, because, you know, if you go from being on such a high when you're on stage, and then that evening you've got to catch a train or a flight to somewhere, and it must be quite a balance to, you know, go from such a high to being alone and being in front of 4,000 people and having the love, and then being alone for a few hours and tired and all of that sort of stuff.
Yeah, it can be really tough, but I think, you know, I've been doing this for a long time now. I was thinking, maybe 15 years. So I've learned, I call them sort of my pillars of self-care, and it sounds a bit hippy-dippy, but just little things that make me feel safe and comfortable no matter where I am. So I'll travel with, I've got a really nice travel bag, like little minis of everything that I use at home, and a really beautiful candle, and I meditate every day. I make sure I speak to my husband every single day. Just these little rituals that make me feel centered. Otherwise I think I'd have gone bonkers by now. Yeah.
How do you see the future of your industry?
I get asked that quite a lot, especially working in specialist music radio with things like Spotify on the increase. You know, why do we need radio? Why do we need that kind of service? And my answer to that is two elements. One, when it comes to radio and specifically DJing, yes, you can get an automated playlist. Yes, it might have great tunes on it, but that can never replace a human touch and a real human making real decisions based on what they see in that moment and that energy connection. You'll never ever be able to replace that. And also from a performance element, having a real human there interacting, smiling, talking to people, dancing, that's irreplaceable. It's the change between just having, you know, a couple of people around for drinks in your sitting room and having a proper party. And the second thing, as far as the music industry as a whole, musicians have existed since the dawn of time, forever and ever and ever. The music industry has only existed since the 50s, 60s. So just because it doesn't necessarily look how we imagined it to be in the 70s with the Rolling Stones and the Beatles, doesn't mean that musicians won't continue to exist. They'll continue to tour and perform and entertain people and sell records. It's just going to look a little bit different, and we need to just like roll with the times, be open to change, and just welcome creativity, welcome innovation.
So, last question. How do you feel as a woman in this male-dominated industry?
Let's lay our cards on the table. It is still a really, really challenging and testing place, and I think it is more challenging being a woman than it is being a man in the music industry. But things are really progressing, things are really, really changing, and goodness, to when I started 15 years ago, things are so much easier. People treat you with more respect, there's more of us, so it's not such a sort of niche thing.
Yeah.
I think we're getting more of the opportunities and the platforms to actually showcase what we do, and I think women have been really integral in that change and in that evolution, helping each other up. I still think we have got a huge way to go yet. For example, 50-50 gender representation on festival lineups, that kind of thing, because the talent is there. We just need the opportunity and platform to showcase it. But we've just got to keep on going. We've just got to keep on pushing. And I think that's not so much about being a woman working in the music industry. That's also just being a working woman in, this day and age.
No, definitely. Well, listen, we literally cannot wait to see you
Oh,
play
good.
tonight. We're so excited. We've got our chairs ready. We've got all of our kit ready.
Oh, you won't need chairs on your feet all night.
And we have got our all black outfits to come and join you up on stage
Fabulous.
later on. So thank you so much all for tuning in, and we will see you later on. Thank you. Bye.